Welcome to Mint. I'm Neha Sethi. In today's edition of From the Newsroom, we are joined by Elizabeth Roche. Welcome to the show, Elizabeth. We are also joined by Commodore Uday Bhaskar of the South Asia Monitor. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you.
We are here to talk about the NAM summit to be held in Iran next week. My first question is to you, Elizabeth. This is Prime Minister Manmohan Singh's visit to Iran in more than a decade. What is the importance of this visit?
Well, Prime Minister Manmohan Singh is essentially going to Iran or Tehran to participate in the NAM summit, the Non-Aligned Movement Summit. That's going to be on the 30th and 31st of August. But just one day prior to that, he's going to have a bilateral meeting with the Iranian leadership. The thing is, Iran is very important a partner for India, simply because India is reliant on energy supplies from Tehran that Tehran exports to India. India is also looking at Iran for support in a way towards towards 2014, when the Afghan endgame comes into play. Remember that Iran was one of the countries, three countries, India, Iran and Russia were the three countries that supported the Northern Alliance against the Taliban, between 1996 and 2001, when the Taliban was in control of Kabul. Now, the Taliban has made a comeback. The Taliban is giving a fight to the US-led international troops in Afghanistan. We don't know what the 2014 scenario is going to be like. So India has to keep its channels of communication open with Tehran. The other thing is this, that India is looking at Iran also as a route, not only for trade with Afghanistan, but also with landlocked Central Asia.
Coming to you, sir, what is the significance of this non-aligned summit being held in Iran?
Iran hosting the summit is also very salient because there has been an attempt by the United States to isolate Iran. So the fact that more than 100 countries are going to be represented at the Tehran summit, the fact that you have the UN Secretary General, is indicative of the fact that perhaps the rest of the world also a certain degree of merit in keeping the non-aligned as a movement alive. Now, this is not the fact that there are any number of divisions and differences within the NAM itself. They do not have a single view on any particular issue. But even then, I believe that in terms of global deliberations, NAM provides an alternate forum as opposed to the United Nations and other international bodies.
What I'd like to add here also is that, if you look at the number of leaders who are attending the conference, the Iranian leadership is going to say that, is going to use this and say that, our isolation, which the West and Israel is trying to project as isolation, the sanctions on its nuclear, because of the Iranian nuclear program, the US and Israel have been saying that Iran is isolated. Now, if you have a platform like the NAM, where you have leaders like Prime Minister Manmohan Singh, for example, you'll have Ban Ki-moon, the UN Secretary General, you'll have the new Egyptian president who are going to be there. Now, all this is significant for the Iranian leadership to say that, look, we are not isolated. So that, I think, is also significant.
Okay, Elizabeth, can you tell us, Iran is likely to criticize US and Israel. Will that be an embarrassment for India?
I don't think it's going to be an embarrassment for India, simply because Iran is known to be critical of the US and Israel. So I don't think that's going to be terribly embarrassing for India.
Coming to you, sir, do you think there'll be a reference to Syria in the NAM declaration, keeping in mind the turmoil in the region?
My reading is that Tehran is going to be challenged in terms of its diplomatic skills to arrive at a consensus. How do you square the circle? It's a very, very prickly circle. And there are so many, I would say, divergences. And at the end of the day, I think the Tehran summit will be remembered for whether or not the Iranian leadership was able to arrive at some kind of a consensus on a very, very contentious issue, which I think is going to animate the region for the next few years.
There'll be lots going on at the summit in Iran next week. Thanks for joining us, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Elizabeth. On that note, we end today's show. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned for more.